So just starting with the presentation, can you all see on the screen?
Yes.
Okay, good, excellent. So we're starting with the first slide. Yep. Is the IFACP Air Cargo Program. And the agenda for today, as I mentioned, Valerie will provide you the overview of the IFACP and implementation plan, and then I will go through with you the IATA operations readiness. Valerie, I pass it to you to start.
Yes, okay. Yes, I'd like to just sort of go back a little bit because I think some of you have maybe not been so directly involved with the IFACP, and you hear about it when it goes to conference or the updates, of course, that Camille's been sending you. But maybe we can just go back and cover the background a little bit, which talks about more why we are with the IFACP today. So it's really because the freight forwarding companies that previously operated under the IATA Cargo Agency program several decades were the agents of the airlines, and gradually their role has evolved, and they're less acting now on as agents on behalf of the airlines, but they're more the airlines' customers. And both IATA and FIATA, the agents associations worldwide, recognized the need and that it was time to modernize. And in 2012, they joined forces to review, redefine, and really re-engineer the agency programs that exist today. And the IFACP reflects some of those changes. So both organizations agreed that it would be of benefit to both their members to move forward, and they actually signed a cooperation agreement to cover this new working relationship. One of the big changes is the new program moves the decision-making of the rules to an airline and forwarder jointly managed governance body. So just going into some more details now, the IFACP. The vision, of course, is to re-engineer the current agency programs to develop a more modernized program that meets the needs of the air cargo community, ensuring that both airlines and freight forwarders alike have mutual benefits from this new program. So some of those benefits are recognizing that the vast majority of freight that's tendered today is tendered on a customer and a principal-to-principal basis. So, as I said, no longer acting as an agent on behalf of the airlines, but really the new program addresses this principal-to-principal relationship, which it's hoped from the airline's point of view will also clarify some of the legal and contractual issues and the relationship between the forwarder and the carriers as it exists today. There's also a potential, the fact that IATA and FIATA are working together with a joint program, that working together they can also achieve some other key industry goals and address some e-cargo priorities that the industry is facing today. There'll be a simplified governance structure. We'll see more details in later slides, but this, it's hoped as well, will reduce the administrative requirements to manage a global program going forward. The program provides a joint management structure, and that's considered better suited to meet the industry's expectations and the customer obligations going forward in future. This next slide shows a table where you can see the current status. It's a bit small, but I hope you can read it on the left-hand side, and the future status on the right. So just going through this quickly. Currently, there are 8 IATA cargo agency or intermediary programs that operate under the different and varying IATA cargo resolutions. For example, 803, 805, 807, etc. This will be replaced by just one global IATA-FIATA air cargo program, operating under one standard set of rules, as mentioned, jointly managed by the IATA-FIATA Governance Board. The IATA Cargo Committee and the IATA Cargo Agency Conference will continue to exist. So they will continue to advise, and especially the Cargo Committee set the strategic cargo agenda for IATA and amongst the airlines. But parts of the jurisdiction of the Cargo Agency Conference, when the agency program as such no longer exists, that part has been transferred and will be managed in future by the IATA-FIATA governance boards. So that will set the strategic direction in future for the air cargo program. The committee, as I said, and the conference will continue to exist, and they will both also provide guidance to individual delegates of the IFGB. An important part is that the CAS, the IATA CAS, the settlement and all the procedures and the rules of CAS remain unchanged. So that's going to be separate from the IFACP. The jurisdiction and governance remains with the Cargo Agency Conference and, of course, the CPG. What has changed recently is that the CAS rules, the current CAS rules 801R and 801RE, have actually been consolidated into a new resolution, 851R, that the conference adopted in 2015. But the rules, the procedures, and the operations today will not change. So that will stay as is. We mentioned the governance being simplified. Well, today there are over 80 diverse local and regional groups, be they airline groups or joint groups. This will all now as well be consolidated and changed into one single joint council. And we're anticipating under the new program establishing 10 regional or national joint councils, IFACP joint councils. Currently that will be in Canada, in Latin America, Europe, which will include Russia, India, China, Middle East, Africa, Asia Pacific, and Hong Kong and Taiwan. So those are the 10 joint councils that currently are planned under the IFACP. So that will remove all these different local and regional groups that currently exist. The IATA conference adopted resolutions. Currently, in future, it will be the IFGB that will determine the rules of the new IFACP program. So they will be responsible for determining financial and operational criteria for membership and endorsement. There will also be a new IFACP forwarder agreement. Currently, there's been a degree of conflict with the forwarding community and some of ambiguity regarding rules and terms. Hope that under the future new program, with the clearly defined roles and responsibilities and the jointly managed structure, that a lot of those uncertainties and maybe conflicts will be resolved, or if not, they will be resolved by the joint governance board, as we separate airlines and forwarders. So the current IATA agency-based accreditation will be moving more to a customer-based endorsement standards that will be established following joint consultation, both at local, regional levels, and of course by the governance board. The key highlight, to summarize, of the new program will be the current programs, whatever form they're in, agency or intermediary programs, will be replaced by a new single air cargo program under the governance of a joint board. And once this is implemented and the rollout happens market by market, then the current agency rules will be suspended. A new regional or national joint council will be established, and that will have a consultation and role to feedback from local markets, so they can discuss and submit proposals to the IFGB for the IFACP program going forward. And again, this new streamlined governance will replace all of the varieties that exist today in the local markets, be they assemblies, joint councils, or ICAPs. The new joint councils may propose to the IFGB the minimum criteria in respect of financial standing, so the local financial criteria as today, what will be needed for endorsement in the new program in their respective country or countries. So there's still the intention to have feedback from the local or regional markets. The financial local criteria that exists today in the program will be, in principle, transferred to the new program, but it will be reviewed by an independent legal counsel to ensure that it's fully compliant with competition law, and then it will be transferred as is to the IFACP. After that point, so once the new program is launched, it will be the new joint councils, the IFACP joint councils, that will recommend any changes going forward to the IFGB. The CAS, as I've mentioned before, remains separate and as is under the jurisdiction of the Cargo Agency Conference. All of the ready for carriage conditions, as well as the operational criteria such as dangerous goods training requirements, best business practices, so the cargo standards that exist today, will also be transferred to the new program, and they will be referenced in the new IFACP handbook that's been developed. So the rules will have the endorsement program rules, but also all of the links to the cargo services ready for carriage conditions. And we're hoping that this will raise the awareness of airlines and freight forwarders regarding their responsibilities and compliance to these industry standards that will continue in the new program. So how will the airline join the new program, or rather how will they transition? Because for existing IATA members, the conference actually adopted a transition and a tie-in resolution, which is Resolution 849, and that really confirms that the IATA members at the conference will automatically join the new IFACP program, and they can participate as today. They don't need to sign any extra documentation. The same as their participation in CAS, that will not change at all. All of their conditions, the conditions that they've signed up to today, will be automatically transferred. For any non-IATA members that participate in your CAS, they will, however, be required to sign a new airline general concurrence, because they've signed up, if you want, to the agency program as it is today. They will need to sign up to the new IFACP program, but that will be at a head office level, so it's not a huge amount of non-IATA airlines or carriers that are participating in CAS, but they will be invited to actually sign up for the new program. The IATA members, it will be a smooth transition. As far as the forwarders are concerned, again, it's hoped that the current IATA accredited agents will be able to transition very smoothly to the new program, but they will be required to sign the new IFACP forwarder agreement and return that to IATA. We'll have more details of that later, and of course that's what impacts you all from the operations point of view. In the new program, it's envisaged that any new applicant, as today, will have to submit an application to IATA, and that will be processed and assessed as today. So we'll be looking still at operational standards, financial standards of any new forwarder that isn't currently accredited that wants to join this new program, and that may be some of the current CAS associates, for example. If a forwarder doesn't want to obtain IFACP endorsement and they don't want the endorsement status, but they want to participate in CAS, then the CAS associate status and an alternative will still exist. So anybody that is an accredited agent that doesn't want to join this new program, or any new agent or a forwarder that just wants to join the CAS, can do so as today. So they will sign a CAS associate agreement and they can continue to participate in CAS as an associate. The next slide is just a graphic display of the governance structure, where you see on the left-hand side all of that impacts the CAS and the CAS associates remains as today, so governed by the conference, with other bodies like the CPG and the joint management groups existing as today, and the IFCC will still continue to exist for the time being. In the middle, we have the Cargo Committee, no changes there, nor to the CAS Policy Group. Where the changes happen are on this right-hand side of the slide, where the new the programme will be governed by, as I've mentioned, the Joint Governance Board, supported by, as today, regional or national joint councils. And these joint councils can also set up ad hoc groups if it's necessary. The next slide gives some more details of the governance board. I won't take too long on this, but it's made up of voting members, between 4 and 6 members from both the airlines and freight forwarders. So airlines will be appointed through the Cargo Agency Conference, and it's hoped that at least 2 members, so a very senior level, will come from the Cargo Committee. FIATA will be responsible for appointing the freight forwarder representatives on this governance board, and the voting members will serve 2 years, which can be renewed up to 4 years. There's a number of non-voting members, and these are mainly coming from IATA and FIATA. So one will be the IATA Global Head of Cargo, so currently Glenn Hughes, and the chairman from the FIATA Air Freight Institute must also attend, and there can be 2 other representatives from IATA and FIATA who will be there as non-voting members. Decisions of the IFGB will require the concurrence of a majority of representatives from each voting constituency. So that means that the airlines, there must be a majority of airlines in favour, as there must be a number of forwarders to balance it out. And of course the quorum must be met in order for anything to be agreed. So the quorum will be a minimum of 4 members from each side. The IFGB will be responsible to establish guidelines for endorsement, to have the operational and financial criteria to determine relevant industry standards, as well as the procedures for the programme, and these will be then published in the handbook. They can also consider and adopt, where appropriate, recommendations that come from regional and national joint councils. So again, from the bottom-up flow of feedback from the regions to ensure that what the IFGB adopt is appropriate. And it's hoped, as I've mentioned, that this group, the fact that it's got such senior representatives on it, will also agree and participate in industry projects and initiatives, and generally to help develop and maintain the programme rules going forward. The national or regional joint councils, again, a smaller group than maybe in some regions today, so between 4 or 6 equal members, so from the airlines as well as from the local or regional freight forwarders. Again, it's hoped a 2-year term, but this can be renewed to maintain consistency from delegates. FIATA will appoint the freight forwarder representatives, drawing, of course, from the region, from the national or regional forwarder associations. The Joint Council, similar to today, will make recommendations to the IFGB in the form of recommendations rather than adopting things themselves, so that they're actually forwarding on to the higher authority. And again, these recommendations should be on a majority of each of the constituencies, so airlines and forwarders attending the meeting. And meetings of the joint councils can be either physical meetings, so in person, or via conference calls. And it will be these local joint councils that will be responsible for recommending changes to local operational financial criteria that exist today and for the future. To ensure that there's active participation, any joint member that meets his 2 consecutive meetings will be subject to removal from the membership, and they'll be replaced by another airline or freight forwarder. Again, the IATA and FIATA can attend these meetings, so the global head of cargo or the AFI chairman, or of course in these circumstances it's more likely to be their appointed representatives from the local or regional level. And these are the non-voting members of the Joint Council, in addition to the Secretariat, which is presently performed by IATA. If this group needs any expert input, for example, if they're considering financial criteria, then they can set up any temporary local working groups as appropriate.
Mm-hmm. Valerie, thank you. It's Camille. I just would like to add this some more information regarding the regional and national joint council, because that will be the secretariat will be added by the regional team or the country manager when we have a national joint council in the country level. That will be similar concept what we have, for example, the IACP joint council. Sergey is acting as the secretary of the joint council. So will be in the future, those IFACP regional joint council will be managed by the regional team, and the national joint council will be managed by the local office with the support from the regional team. And of course, you also will have the support from the center, from the cargo governance.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want me to continue with the implementation plan, or will you?
Valerie, there's a question there by Sergey that perhaps it's a good time to address.
Okay. I just saw. So Sergey maybe Sergey, can you just read through your questions?
Yeah. My question is related to the fees, annual fees, administrative fees, charges, which now defined by resolutions. Will the joint councils be responsible to consult or to recommend to the governance body for the charges, for levels, for different types, or this will be the central, let's say, decision of a governance body for the whole regions and for whole markets?
Yeah, in the future will be a decision of IFGB. Because what they're looking at is overall. For the time being, we haven't go to the detailed discussion about how's the future fee structure, because we're looking at the cost structure now in order to determine the fee structures. The ideal situation, what they would like to see is the one level of the fee for the joining the program, instead of different level of fee we have by region. Now we have a different fee structures. However, I will see some difficulty, so we haven't go through the discussion yet, but the decision making is IFGB. And of course, the joint council, if they would like to make the recommendation, they can make the recommendation to IFGB to see what is the fee structure they would like to see in the market. But I would see it's more the global approach instead of individual approach, like what we have the current cargo agency program.
Yeah, because my question is a practical one. Should I, let's say, continue, because it was already initiated and started? Should I continue or should I stop the discussion of European program fees, rather saying that as soon as the migration will be completed, this item will be addressed on a global level, and regional joint council should not continue to discuss it?
I will recommend to not continue your discussion for the time being, because the whole fee structure will change in the future.
Okay.
And the agent currently paying the fee, and the airline also will pay the fee to contribute the program. Okay. So the whole fee structure changing, the concept changing, and then I cannot tell you if they will apply one global level, although this is a recommendation for the time being, but I would see some difficulty to roll out at the one global level to ask the freight forwarder. Currently they pay less, ask them to pay much more, because now in some other market, Asia or some other market, they pay much lower than Europe. Europe is the highest one. So I don't know what their decision, because we just restart the discussion again just recently, and I believe it will take a little bit time, but I think it's, if your question is continue discussion under the current cargo agency program structures, I will see, because this is, although we agree during the implementation phase we will follow the current fee structure, but once we implement we will follow the new structures. And new fee structure after fully implement globally. But the timeline I will see is only 2 years timeline. So I don't see if you continue your discussion in the EACP Joint Council level and you may not able to get it approved, and then the IFACP is already fully implemented. Then by the time they apply the new fee. So
correct.
Yeah.
So thank you. Yeah.
Okay, moving ahead for the implementation plan. Yeah, thank you, Rory. I will take over from the implementation plan. Just give you the idea on the implementation plan. For the time being, we confirm, Canada is confirmed, yes, we're going to 15 August to send out the first communication letter. And we will go through a little bit more detailed project plan for the Canada pilot countries, and then end by the 31st October. And then the rest of the world, we hope we can get the Europe, Latin Americas, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Australia, New Zealand in the next phase of the countries, which is we aim for the late 2017 or early 2018. The reason why I cannot provide you the detailed timeline because it's subject to the legal review of the local financial criteria. We are currently still in the process to appoint the legal firm, the independent legal firm, to do the local financial criteria review for the competition law compliance. I hope we will conclude the appointment in next few weeks to sign the contract with the legal firm. Then they can kick off the once by that time. Then I will know better the timeline when they complete the legal review. Then we can plan for the next wave implementation. And Canada, we only plan for a little bit shorter time, is talking about only 2.5 months time. But the rest of the world, we will provide a little bit longer time, 4 to 6 months, because in Canada market, we only have 111 cargo agents. So the number is a little bit smaller. So that's why the time is shorter. But the rest of the world, we will discuss with the agency management team and to make sure that we give enough time for the implementation. And just give you really high level, we will go through a little bit more detail about what is required, what is involved during the implementation. So what IATA doing, we will launch the regional and national campaign to introduce the new program together with the local freight forwarder association to the market, to the region, airlines, and all the current cargo agents. And what we need to do is send the IFACP freight forwarder agreement to all the current IATA agents and send the new journal concurrent to the non-IATA airline members, and we need to control of the return of a new agreement and follow up action if not signed and return. And we don't need to do any new financial assessment to the current cargo agents in order for them to transfer to the new program. And I have later the other document to break it down. What required from the region, local office, and all the roles and responsibility. But that is overall from IATA.
If I just may step in for a sec.
Francisco. Yeah.
These regional and national campaigns, I mean, talking about Europe, where we have a big amount of intermediaries that have to change the contract. We need to do a follow-up, as you mentioned here. Are there any consequences if the agents fail or delay its signatures?
Yeah. Then they will terminate. This is because we don't have any cargo agents program anymore.
So there will be the consequence will be that they will be terminated as per old contract.
Yeah, exactly. Because if they don't sign the new contract, the current cargo agency program will be suspended once the new program cut over to the new program. So that means this is their current contract will not be valid anymore. So the status will be terminated. But keep in mind, because we partner with the local freight forwarder association to do all the activity, so they are responsible to make sure that they need to return. And of course, we will notify them if there's a high number of the cargo agencies not returning the signatures. That we know that definitely will be a problem. However, throughout our discussion with IATA and the Freight Forwarder Association, like the situation with CIFA, they don't anticipate that this will be the roadblock. As long as we have a support from the local Freight Forwarder associations.
Okay. And the new general concurrence to non-IATA airline members, are you referring to the GSSA participations as well?
No. GSSA is not in this not in the scope of this activity because they are not actually participating in the cargo agency program. They are only participating in CAS. Yeah. CAS is completely separate with this program. This program talking about the airline with the cargo agent if they appoint their cargo agent in the cargo agency program. Okay. So GSSA is not in scope of this whole exercise. We're only talking about the current airline participating in the cargo agency program. And for the non-IATA airlines, we're talking about really handful of the airlines is non-IATA airlines. And we will approach a headquarter level to ask them to sign the general concurrence.
Okay.
Hi, Camille. This is Nacho here. If I may ask, you have to put some time frame in all the actions that needs to be taken. As you share with us, the program is going to be launched in Canada on the 15th of August, and the estimated end date is going to be 31st of October.
We have a detailed timeline in the other document. I will going to go through each of them with the steps as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So I'll wait then.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Camille, if I can, regarding the documents, the agreements of agents, if freight forwarders or intermediaries will not sign a new contract, they will be terminated. Mm-hmm. But does it mean that they will be suspended from CAS, or for CAS it will be enough any other kind of document? Because if now they have only one document for both, let's say, parts, agency program and CAS, if they will be terminated in the agency program, they need to sign something to not to be
terminating
not to be part of the program, but at the same time to participate in a CAS.
Yes, of course. From our view, we don't promote the CAS associate, but that is the reality. If they are terminating in the IFACP because they don't sign and return the new agreement, it's not stopping them to joining CAS. Okay. We still have a CAS associate program under the CAS program. But during our communication, we won't promoting the CAS associate program.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but in reality, IATA still have a CAS associate program available for them just using CAS.
Yeah, my only concern is that the date when we terminating them from program should be later than the opportunity for them to sign a CAS participating association contract, not just to terminate them from agency program and immediately at the same day disconnecting from the CAS.
Yeah, they have a choice. If they don't want to be in the IFACP, they have a choice to go to the CAS Associate program. Mm-hmm. But it's not from us to promote to them. And because the CAS Associate program, they also need to get the sponsor from the airline to sign the CAS Associate agreement. It's subject to their business decision. If they believe they don't get the value from this IFAC program, and then they decide to remove them to go to a CAS. But I doubt, because this is those current participate in the cargo agency program, they lose nothing to join the IFACP, because this program will better off for them, because in terms of decision making process is reflecting the balance of the power of airlines and freight forwarder in the future. So with the support of Freight Forwarder Association, I really have a doubt to see if most of them, they are not signing this IFACP program.
Okay, will we have any, let's say, honeymoon period for those associates who want to be part of a new program, just to enroll, or they should go through the more sophisticated process?
For the time being, we don't have any honeymoon period, because that's the IFGB looking at the promotion, but they haven't come back for the conclusion. So the focus of the cutover to implement IFACP, we will focus the current cargo agents. And later on, after the IFGB come up with the honeymoon period or special package to them, then we were working on it to promote with the cast associate.
Okay.
Because we have exactly the same question from Miami team when we are earlier discussed with the Miami agency management team. We referred this idea to the governance board, but they need to decide what offer they would like to offer for the cast associates in order to attract them to the new program.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, just moving quick on what is the general role of each body. So for FIATA side, they will brief and coordinate with the local freight forwarder associations about the IFACP program and the rollout activities. And they will also support the local freight forwarder association to inform the local freight forwarder about the IFACP and also the implementations. And the local freight forwarder association will work together with IATA local office for the roadshow. So when we're doing the campaign, that is all the partnership, because it's now we are joint manage the program. So all activity IATA doing will be piloting with FIATA and then local freight forwarder associations. And the communication to the freight forwarders, we will rely on them, on FIATA and local freight forwarder association to promoting this new program as well. And from the airline side, what we need from them is attending the information session held by IATA to explain the new program rules in details and about the implementation timeline, deadline of suspending the current cargo agency program. So the local airlines will be invited for all the information session we organize in the local level. And if the airline would like to be part of the Regional Joint Council or National Joint Council, they need to submit the nomination form to IATA for the selection process via the IATA Cargo Agency Conference. So what we're going to do, we're planning to do maybe one nomination worldwide together with all the airlines, all the Joint Council, and go through the conference process to do the appointment and nominations. So the information I will work with Renato to come up with the detail, then we'll inform the regional team and country manager where they have a national joint council in order to organizing after our global campaign to inform the airlines about the new program implementation plan. And also the airline need to understand the new general concurrent requirement to notify IATA any opt-out, and due to the airline imposing additional bilateral criteria in respect of the whole market or any individual markets. In the general concurrence adopted by the conference, we have the option of opt-out. However, for the time being, we are not going to promote this option because the current discussion with the IFGB, they would like to eliminate this option. So we will see how the conclusion they have before we promoting to the airline for the this option. And also because we are also talking about how we can eliminating the additional bilateral bank guarantee in some market. For your market, Europe is not the issue, and Canada is not the issue either. But I think Latin America and Asia and Middle East have some market they have imposed the bilateral bank guarantee. So that is this condition we're adding in order to give some flexibility to the airline. But however, we are not going to promote this option during the campaign, but just for your information. And for the non-IATA members, we will sign and return the new journal concurrence to IATA. And what the cargo agents need to be done, they need to attend the information session to understand the new program, and also the most important for them is the implementation timeline deadline for returning their freight forwarder agreement. And then also, if they would like to be part of the Regional Joint Council, they need to submit the nomination to the to FIATA. And I think most important the action is actually for the cargo agent to return their sign the freight forwarder agreement. We have website, IATA internet site is have post all the information for external, and we are building the website for IFACP. It's not ready yet, and once ready, we will have all the information in the IFACP website. And FIATA also have the white paper post in their website, just to let you know that is the external information available via the internet site. Any question in terms of implementation plan before I move into the next topic, IATA operation readiness?
Are you addressing? Sorry.
Go ahead, Francisco. After you.
Thank you, Nacho. Just wondering, the communication from this office, are you dealing with it right now with the IATA operations, or can we talk about it? Because I'm a bit worried. I see the 15th of August coming up. What is expected from the regional offices to communicate to the field, in this case Canada?
Yeah.
And who's going to draft it? Who's going to send it?
All the material is ready.
Mm-hmm.
We already draft. We will. I say ready is the final draft still waiting the final approval from FIATA side. This week I should able to get all ready. We will have all the materials. Diana also can share with you what is the Canada market when I go through the document. I also have all the materials ready in the intranet site of IATA intranet site. I have IFACP website and all the materials there. So I will go through each one by one. And then you let me know what you feel is missing or what is it need to be. We also have implementation SOP is ready,
mm-hmm.
and that is let me go through. Maybe just go to a document for the time being. You will see the high level. Then I go through all the communication letters we have. So I already have the website. If before maybe I go here implement it. You will have under the FAS operation, you have a website of IFACP here, and inside you have all the materials you need for under the IFACP documents. You have all the white paper, implementation package, handbook, FAQ, and communication letters to freight forwarder airlines, and also I have a timeline for the Canada for all the detail. So maybe before I go to all individual folders, you know what is inside. I will go through the overall document, which is the implementation plan operation readiness.
Okay.
And inside you have the document to capture the what is required from internal, and this document also in the meeting request, but we will go through is all the line, and then also at the end you also see the implementation SOP. So just going, and then also the timeline here, Lacho is looking at what is the actual planning for Canada. So we also have here, but the detail of operation detail SOP, the project plan activity I'm then include here because actually most activity is being done by Miami team. So I want to see later on we discuss with Diana is what need to be transferred and what will be still open is not being done really to cover it in next 2 weeks. So that is the first page we go through that. Some of them are included in the presentation itself. The point 1 you will see, and then point 2 is also included in the presentation. But the C and D here about the regional team and the project team, what we are going to do is from our project team is provide the training to you guys and all the standard training and communication material. And the standard 2 for the collection of the agreement, and update the web information and assist the region to set up the joint council liaison with FIATA for the communication and their member, and assist the region for any exceptional during war liaison with IATA-FIATA governance board for the direction. So for the region will be, as I mentioned before, is the launching the regional and national campaign to introduce the new program with all the standard material we provide, and set up and manage the regional and national joint council prepare the individual freight forwarder agreement. Actually, it's not. You don't need to prepare individual because now we will put in the mass upload to the Salesforce as a. I will show it to you as well in the screen later on. We will upload the electronic format. We will upload the for Canada case. We will upload the attachment to the mass upload to create individual case in Salesforce for all the cargo agent in Canada to ask them. By the time we send the second communication letter, ask them to download that form to sign and return to the IATA regional office. So you don't even need to prepare that, and because it's the case, we will do that from the Salesforce team. And then you don't even send because we will send the second communication to tell them that this is the link to download your freight forward agreement and sign and return to IATA regional office. And then what need to be done in the regional office is control and return of new agreement. In the Salesforce, we will have a dashboard to show the open case and closed case, because once the agency management receive the side freight forward agreement, they will close the case in Salesforce. Then we can have a tracking and how many open case we have and how many closed case we have in order to have a tracking dashboard for this activity. And follow-up action if not signed and return, then we will go to the SOP implementation SOP to have more details looking at that who's doing what.
Okay, hi, this is Reinhard. Can I have a question or two?
Yes, sure.
All right, cool. So if I understand correctly, this is done through Salesforce. It's pretty straightforward procedure. There will nevertheless be FAQs prepared that should be made available through the customer portal.
Yeah, we have it.
Right. And secondly, if I'm not mistaken, Canada has a huge amount of associates.
Yep.
Will we take this opportunity to actively promote already this new service during this period? And if so, how can agents inform us of their interest to make the change from associate or the upgrade, let's say? How does this go through the portal? I mean, is this been prepared for on the portal end, or how do we see this? And the last question, which is slightly unrelated to Salesforce and the portal, is as it's a pilot, how are we going to measure the success of this? What are like the key indicators that we want to see being achieved during this period in Canada?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wilong. Just to answer your question, FAQ we will have in the Salesforce, and we will upload that because it's most of the activity, the changes in the Salesforce, because not only FAQ, is all the name of the current cargo agents we will be replaced by the endorsed freight forwarder, and all the names of the cargo agency program will be replaced by the IFACP in the customer portal. That has been done already in the production environment and being tested by the Miami team already. So now we just need to cut over during the publish on the 15th August. And also the online application form, notification form is all need to change because we need to remove all the wording about the agency cargo agent or everything related to cargo agent no longer exists in the FACP program. And the other thing about the CAS Associate, as I mentioned before, we don't have any special promotion for the CAS Associate. The governance board is will have a review and discuss, and before we do the promotion to the CAS Associate. So for the time being, we don't actively to promote the CAS Associate to transfer to the new program because it's for them is no. This transfer is no different because we're not giving them any benefit in terms of moving to the new program in terms of financial assessment or the bank guarantee. So to them, we don't see. We can invite the CAS Associate to the webinar. For example, the Canada market, if we can invite the CAS Associate to the webinar, but we don't see them will be attractive enough for them to join the new program unless we are removing some financial criteria, operational criteria, or not doing the assessment. Because it's as a current program, they won't move to the new program. So we can communicate to them that's a new program, but we don't see them will moving from the current program, current CAS associate program to the new program unless we give them really good incentive.
So just to fully understand here, so we are sure that the local freight forwarders associations who might have associates in their group will not target their communications to also these associates and create like this a certain type of confusion.
They will communicate overall IFACP program, but unless we will come up with the special arrangement for the CAS associate to ask them to join over to the IFACP program. And for the time being, we don't have this plan. I don't have this from the instruction from the governance board. So what we are promoting still will be as usual. We're promoting the current cargo agency program will be remain the current local financial criteria and the operational criteria will remain unchanged and transfer the new program. In order to transfer the new program from the cargo agents to the IFACP freight forwarder, then they just need to sign the new agreement. But any new applicant we still will do the new applicant of the current cargo agency program will still do the assessment. So for the CAS associate, I don't see it's attractive enough for them to move over to the new program unless we have a special arrangement for them. Is it clear, or because
it's absolutely clear what is our take. What is not clear to me is what we will do if associates come to us say, I would like to join this new program.
As a new applicant?
Yes.
Then we just go through our new application process. That is what we present if you are because the CAS associate, if you would like to join the future IFACP program, then they are new applicants, then they need to go through the application process. The application process is no different as the current cargo agency program, and we will do the assessment. The local financial criteria is remain unchanged, and then they also need to provide the DGR certificates that's required for the country.
Thank you.
Yeah, so for the CAS associate, if they move over, they are new applicants, unless by that time the IFGB, the governance board, decide to have special offer to the CAS associate, then by that time I can communicate to the market, but for now I don't have any information from them.
Yeah, very clear, thanks.
Yeah.
And then the success measurements of the pilot, I'm sorry.
Oh, the KPI is definitely is 100%. To have all the current cargo agencies move over to IFACP program. That's 100% the KPI. But if we don't see if this is less than 100%, I would say 95 to 100% definitely is the goal we have. Because it's going to moving from one program to the other program, we don't see why they are not moving. Because we don't do any financial assessment, there's nothing changed as a condition, just signing the new agreement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we have some checkpoint if this is not the case. I will escalating to FIATA to push from their side to communicate to the freight forwarder, to the cargo agents to make sure they have no issue with that.
Right, so it's 100% by the end of October, correct?
Yeah, for Canada market.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Because the current all the cargo agents in Canada market is 90% is members of CIFA. The other 10% is not the member of CIFA, but for those should be able to cover by us if we are not able to communicate with, if they are not returning the freight forwarder agreement or not. For the CIFA side, they will, from what they told us, because they will communicate to their members to make sure they sign the freight forwarder agreement and return. And they don't see it as any risk if they don't return the freight forwarder agreement.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for answering that question.
Yeah. And just for the local office is what the local office need to do, like the Canada office, what they do, they will do a national campaign to introduce the program. We will have the information session via the webinar or face-to-face meeting during the program implementation. For Canada case, they decide to have webinar, and we will provide the record webinar for them to share with the cargo agent and airlines in advance during the first communication letter, and then invite them to attend the Q&A session. So I will give you more detail in the next page. And set up the National Joint Council, and if necessary, then they assist the regional remind the cargo agent to return the side agreement if in case the regional team, they don't have all the agents to return. However, in the Salesforce system, we also will set up two reminder to remind them to return the signatures.
Camille, let me stop you, I'm sorry, for one moment. In regards to the return of the agreements, given the at the time the agreements will have to be returned, are we accepting electronic copies or the physical documents? Because it will be important at that point for the agents to know where to mail them back to.
The Canada is definitely for the time we decide is the physical document. The reason why we are not going to the electronic format, because it's for Canada, we are doing the pilot. We only have 111. And if we're subscribing the electronic platform, it costs us 7,500. And then if we don't know when is the next country coming up soon, then we will have a couple months wasting the money. So that's why now the decision for Canada, we will do is uploading the mass upload case to the Salesforce for individual agents, where for them to download their own pre-populating agreement, and they print it out 2 copies and sign 2 copies and send it back to IATA regional office. Now it should be sending back to Madrid office, because it's now we are moving the operation to Madrid. Because before what we discussed is sending to Miami office.
Correct. So I thought it was important to pause there for a moment to ensure that, especially for the team in Madrid, and the communications that will go out with instructions to the agents, where would that address be? And clearly when we push that communication out for them to sign and execute the agreement and return it to IATA, prior to that, I think we need to somehow think, and this is more directed to Nacho and his team on the migration, how the communications to countries, in this case Canada and Bermuda, will be made so that they first receive the migration communication that the operations are transferring to Madrid, so that there is not somewhat of a shock to these agents when they're asked to mail the physical agreements to Madrid.
Thank you, Diana. I think I will, maybe later on, I think when we go through the timeline, I think naturally to looking at to see the feasibility and how we can achieve by the before 15, and maybe it's not necessary that communication can need to be done on 15 August, because it's the only 18 September we send out second communication to require the action from them to return the freight forwarder agreement. So maybe we're going down further. The implementation material is the intranet site, as I just pointing out, and then the budget side is for any additional travel and resources will be budget by the regional team, is not budget by the project, and that is what being agreed previously during the budget exercise in 2007 during the end of 2016. And for the checklist for the regions, here is the checklist is for the steps you need to be aware during the activity is the first step is IATA will provide the information session with the full information package to all the airlines. And here we focus on the airline side. The reason why we focus on the airline because we rely on the Freight Forwarder Association to provide the information to the freight forwarder. But however, we will have a similar information we provide the freight forwarder side. And for the airline side, is the all airline they need to inform is including the IATA members and the non-IATA members. Of course, we will also inform the GSSA about the airlines about this new information, and then also is this opportunity for IATA to promoting the program with the new airlines is possible. So we will provide the information session and invite the GSSA, although the GSSA will not require any activities or the airline, but just for the information, the cargo agency program will be cut over by the IFACP program. And the information package will contain the IFACP white paper, the tie-in resolutions, and we have about the general concurrence and the Joint Council terms of reference communication letter for the information session and action. That is what we were going to cover, the first communication letter and second communication letter in the later stage. We also will, as I mentioned, the opt-out for the time being, we don't promote just for information. We have we'll have the specific paper explain the new general concurrent requirement to notify any opt-out. But for the Canada market, we won't do that because this is now in the process. IFGB may want to change that, so we don't want to promote that, and later on the IFGB changes. But however, our internal is getting the readiness for the Western market. When we are moving to later 2017 or early 2018, when we are global rollout, by that time, if the IFGB is still low decision, then we will promoting the opt-out function for the market where we think that they will lead them, especially for bilateral bank guarantee, which is the Asia market and the Middle East market. And so we would like to make sure the airline will acknowledge the receipt of IFACP package to make sure that they're well informed, they know that that's what's going on. And although we don't have the action required from them, but they still need to understand that we are moving to the new program. Although this program is endorsed and adopted by the cargo agency program, but however, the local airline need to understand at a local office level, and also they need to understand the decision making is moving to the Joint Council, making recommendation to the governance board. For the airlines, nothing changed, business as usual. They still continue accepting the flight from the freight forwarder as before. The only part for the airline we're taking the benefit is the liability changes from the new program, because the freight forwarder no longer is the agent of the airline, as mentioned by Valerie Jackson in the benefit. They have become the principal, is they are the customer. So the liability of flight is in the future will be going back to the freight forwarder, no longer will be unclear to the airline when there's any damage or any liability claims about the damage of the aircraft. So that will be because improper packaging of the dangerous good to the shipment to the aircraft. And also important for the airline, why we need to make sure they well aware the program is because if they would like to participate in the local Joint Council, they need to submit the nomination to IATA, and then we will go through the cargo agency conference process to appoint the members, airline member, to be members of the Joint Council. And so for IATA is also to make sure that from our role to make sure the well-balanced representative in the Joint Council members, we also need to make sure that to overview the balance of the size of the airlines represented in Joint Council, and also lobbying the airline to make sure that they are actively involved in the Joint Council as well. And of course, if there's any new airline, we think they should be in the Joint Council to balance the discussion. That is also IATA role to do the lobbying. And also for the just make sure the airline what is being aware of the action involved during the IFACP implementation in their local market, and the cutover date from the IFACP program to the for the cutover from the cargo agency program to the IFACP program, and also the normally the local freight forwarder association will have the press release, like the Canada market is the CIFA, the Freight Forwarder Association will do the press release, and in parallel, and we also will inform the Air Canada, the local officer, country manager will inform Air Canada to make sure the national carrier well aware this activity is not being, it doesn't look good if they see the Freight Forwarder Association issue the press release without knowing that what's going on with the new program. So the country manager is important for the country manager to engage them through our global campaign during that time, and also to well aware that during the cutover date is all the website, IATA, the FAQ and the customer support and all that will be inform them this is where the information is. So that is really highlight for what is the checklist will be for the airlines and the freight forwarder side as well. And for the going down the project plan for Canada implementation, what is being done is with the local office, they will engage. Actually, the national carrier is already well informed. Then same as the CIFA, the local freight forwarder association is already well informed because they already have their first joint council meeting last week about the new program. And then the timeline here, you're looking at that is we agree with the CIFA during the discussion with the agency management team in Miami, because it's when we are decide the timeline at that time, I think it's around early July. The plan is still implemented by Miami team. However, through I think there's just 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, and Juan Antonio and also Eduardo and the whole discussion about the migration of the Miami to Madrid during the timeline is actually in between the implementation of IFACP in Canada, and agree with Enrique, the director of GDC in Europe. He agreed that in this case, may be better off to transfer the whole implementation to Miami team, from Miami team to Madrid instead of in between doing the handover. So that is how the decision will come up and during the process, and now is confirmed. And with the timeline is also we stick with the original timeline, agree with the CIFA. So the first communication letter will be to all the airline will be sending out on the 15th August by regional office. That means it's now by Madrid office. And the template is already, I also upload in the website, and I just double confirm with CIFA and FIATA side, and to make sure there's no issue. Because we have 2 communication letters. One is to the airline specific, one is to freight forwarder. I will go through the folder so you can see it is there. So if this week I don't hear from them, then it's finalized, I will let you know. What needs to be done on that letter is we need to include a link from the Canada office to about the, because in the letter we will communicate about the new program. We will include the record webinar, the link to the record webinar in the letter, which is for the airlines and freight forwarder to review the whole training, which is actually what we just went through with you. The first 2 parts is the overall of IFACP and the implementation plan for external. Then in the letter also we will invite them. We have a couple sessions on the, you can see the point D. We have 3 sessions webinar session for the Q&A is on the 5th, 12th, and 20th September at the local office in CIFA. The timeline is confirmed by local office in CIFA, and to hold the 2-hour webinar for the Q&A sessions. And for the airline, we will have a session under the point E is the 19th and 21st of September to answer any question from the airlines. So that will be the first action required from the regional office to send the first communication letter will be on the 15th August. And then on the 15th August, we also will put all the changes we make in the customer portal, the online application form, and change all them to the IFACP environment. What does that mean is including the FAQ and all the wording. Current cargo agency program or current cargo agents will be replaced by IATA-FIATA air cargo program, and also will be replaced by the IFACP endorsed forwarders. That all is done already in the testing environment. And also we will have the new handbook. We will remove the handbook for Canada, because what does that mean is the first communication. Also, all the new applications we have received for the Canada, although Canada we don't have too many applications because last year we only have 1 or 2. Any new application we see after the 15th August will go through the IFACP. So like also the communication letters sending out for the Canada market, maybe Diana can help. We already changing we change all the current communication letters, all the guidelines or update reflected in the IFACP program for Canada market. So that will be switched to the for the new applications, we'll be switching to the IFACP program on the 15th August. And moving down, after the webinars on the point F is the second communication letter. In this letter, we will have an action required as well. And then on the second, that means on the 18th of September, we will mass upload all the cases to all the current cargo agents in Canada with the pre-populated freight forwarder agreement to ask them to download, sign, and return to the Madrid office. And just referring to what Diana said earlier, that means this is really to send the communication before, in terms of the operation shifting from Miami team to Madrid for Canada market. So really to inform them before this second communication letters, to make sure that they don't have any surprise to say why they need to return the freight forwarder agreement to Madrid office instead of a Miami office. Maybe any question up to the point F? Okay, then moving down to, we will have 6 weeks to return the new agreement and follow-up actions. The customer service need to answer any question they dial in, and also same as the agency management, like the current practice is the first level will go into customer service. If customer service is not able to answer, then they will go to the agency management. And of course, if agency management have a difficulty to answer, will come to me as well. And then also the regional agency management team will doing the notification of termination if we don't receive their sign the freight forwarder agreement, and the cut-over the date of the current cargo agency program to IFACP will be the end of October. And that means in the future, once we cut over, in the future, all the communication for Canada market will using the template for the IFACP. So will be the letterhead will change, no longer using only IATA letterhead, will be using the IFACP letterhead, the air cargo program logo, which is already done and sending to Miami team for Canada, or the communication template they have.
Camille, hi, this is Nacho again. I do have a question with regards to the agreements, the new agreements, and with regards to the fact that customer service is going to be acting as level 1 for queries. Now, with regards to the agreements, indeed, I walked through the proposed period plan for Canada implementation, and when I'm looking at the deadlines provided and also at the flowchart provided, to me it's not clear how to proceed, because if we were to look at the flowchart, there it says that depending on the high volume of no returns, we may either report that to the project team, okay, or send a notice of termination. And in there, I see a reference to this 3 months time. So that's,
that is the generic we provide. We think it should be doing that in the market, and the timeline we for Canada is agree with CIFA. They say that we don't need to have give them 3 month notification or that. No, actually, sorry, I just putting when we are doing the notification of termination. Normally, based on our current practice, we did 3 month notification of termination, right? Based on our current SOP.
I believe so, right, Olena?
Sorry, Camille, can you repeat the question? I didn't get it. Yeah.
So sorry. The notification of terminations. We sent a notification of termination, but we did them 3 months notification, right? It's based on my understanding, correct?
In EACP, for example, it's 15 days, 1-5.
No, for Canada. I think in general, if so in this case, then I changed my my SOP, because when we are doing the 3 month notice, when we draft that, it's based on the market in Latin America, Canada. Because that is when we're drafting. If some market is using shorter notification period, then we have a shorter notification period. Because what we are doing, the notification of termination is based on our current practice. So what I'm going to do, I think Nacho is saying that this point, that confuse you about the within 3 months.
Yeah, actually, are we going to be terminating agents on the 31st of October or
no? We send a notification of the termination. Is subject to what is the notification of termination in the market, and so we send them a letter to notify them. Oh, you will be terminated by this day. Because we cannot terminate them without sending a notification of the terminations, and then in our notification of termination, we will give them the period to answer them. So we have a little bit buffer for that, because we are sending the follow-up for notification. If maybe we're jumping a little bit here to the process plan, and if we're going from the at the beginning, just going that point, and we do the global campaign to inform before the implementation. We have all the material communication plan, and the current assistant managers agency management will review the package and send the first communication letter to all the accredited cargo agents, which is the first communication letter will include the recorded webinar and also the timeline for them to attend to participate the FAQ webinar for Canada market. And then we will mass upload the case in the Salesforce in order for them before the second communication letter sent out for them to download the freight forwarder agreement. And going down to that, send the agreement to actually, this one is not standing, but because we're saying that now we download, we will download and upload in the customer portal. So then with the second communication letter with the information for them to download the freight forwarder agreement. So in Salesforce, we will have a freight forwarder agreement going down, status of the agreement. So we have 3 possibilities. And first possibility, we will feedback the changes of the freight forwarder detail. Then we will follow our change request, the process of the changes. Then we go through the changes, and then if the normal process, if they have a low agreement with 3 weeks before the deadline, then we will send a reminder to make sure that from the Salesforce system, they should automate setting the reminder to send a second reminder to ask them to return the side agreement. If they don't, if high volume more than 20% before the 2 weeks, and then we escalate to me, and then I will talking to the Freight Forwarder Association to make sure that this is no issue in terms of communication in the market, and to decide what action should be proceed. And maybe we will decide to extend the timeline, but we will, based on that, to make the call to judgment to discuss with regional team and also the local office to see where's the problem in the market. And if we receive the side agreement, then we're just doing our normal process to archive, and then to sign from IATA side, from the agency management team, and sign and return 1 copy to the freight forwarder, and then keeping 1 copy with us archive access in the Salesforce. That's the whole process. And then if we don't receive any agreement, then on the 14th we will send a notice of the terminations. Then we will follow our notice of terminations process. And if we don't receive the feedback based on the timeline indicated on the based on the notification of the termination process, then we will need to terminate. It may not be 3 months, because I put in 3 months is just because it is during our discussion. That is normal process in Miami office is 3 month notification. Then I will subject to the normal practice to the market. If in Europe it's 15 days, then it will be based on 15 days.
So
and
that
based on the current agreement of the agent. Whatever the current agreement of the agent says is agency agreement, the termination period in there must apply. So you must give them, for example, it's 15 days, as Olena says. If it's a minimum 15 days, that's the notice of an official termination you must give them.
So I will subject to the condition.
Their current contract, yeah. Whatever their current contract says, you must, as a minimum, give them that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I checked also the Canadian Resolution 803, and it says exactly the same. It's a minimum 15 days.
15 days, yeah. And I think, as you said, practice tends to be 30. You tend to say, right, by the end of the next month, you're out if you don't return the new one.
So this is not the new process. That will be based on the current process we have.
Okay, so just to be clear, thank you very much. So we're gonna go over the deadline of the 31st of October.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that was my point here, because I was under understanding that by the 31st of October we should have concluded the whole exercise, and this is not the case. By the 31st of October we will be sending out the notice of termination, and those terminations are going to become effective 15 days afterwards.
Yeah.
Or whatever time frame it is. Okay.
Yeah.
I can include that in the project plan then.
Okay, I think it's important. I mean, from the agency management perspective, one thing is sending out the notice of termination, and another thing is actually when those are going to be executed.
So that means this is if we're sending out 31st, I just looking at the timeline, is 15 days is working day or 15 days continuous?
It just says 15 days. So we understand this is the calendar days.
So what I will have will be so I would count that by the 15th November then, in this case. The executing the termination will be by 15 November. Yeah, I will include this in the project plan, so that's to be clear. But we cut over to the cargo agency program will be on the 31st October, because those is important to make sure that means by that time all the communication sending out for the Canada market will be using the IFACP template communication, and all that is we cannot using any cargo agency program, and then the letterhead need to be replaced by the IFACP logo.
Okay. Okay, we are clear on that one. I do still have another question with regards to customer service. It is my understanding that we're going to be taking over all the queries related to this change, right, from Madrid. So under that basis, I think Francisco is on the call. I mean, have we considered this time difference? Because there's going to be a huge time difference. So are we going to have customer service people attending the phone during these hours? Because we are closing at 6, but Canada, by the time we close, Canada is gonna it's gonna be opening.
Yes, of course. Yeah. But you know that when is Canada going to migrate? Because I don't think CS is still prepared for it.
That's what I'm asking, because according to this, it says, it says, ask any inquiry from the cargo agents and CAS associates, 15th of August, from the period that goes from the 15th of August to the 31st of October. So my understanding is that in that period, customer service in Madrid should be ready to take on queries from the Canadian agents.
But customer service still is not migrated into Madrid during that time frame, or is it? I mean, you're doing the GDC, so you
Canada is migrated
from
well, I mean, we have to stick to the deadlines here, and my understanding is that we will be providing all sort of services, including customer service.
Then we need to clarify that internally, because that's not according to my information currently.
So it's a point that for which we need to have 100%, clarity.
Yes. Yeah, guys, if I may intervene, that just internally we know that the escalation deadline is the 30th of September. Now there will be a separate discussion, should be escalated even more or not, but for the time being, from 30th September, we should take over. And meaning that if the deadline for the completing campaign 30th October, at least for 1 month, Madrid will be continue to do what Miami started.
So we have 2 months still to prepare ourselves. That's what you want to say?
I would say maximum 2 months.
Yes.
I'm not sure. Sorry, if I can interrupt. I'm not sure that is what I was told from Eric K. Because it's Eric K from the director of GDC. The email exchange they are doing is we starting the whole IFACP implementation with Madrid team. Because it's Diana, I think last week you also have a meeting with the GDC team and about the migration. I think that part is agree with starting the whole IFACP implementation managed by Madrid team, right?
Yes, we talked about the acceleration of the Canada agency program. From what we had anticipated that would have been in October to early on, but the decision, the final decision for this accelerated date, which we discussed to be September 15th, where the Madrid team would start working on the Canadian cases, is yet to be approved by the GDC steering committee, and that's how we left it when the team left Miami. So the original plan was going to be in October, which is what Alex announced to the team here in Miami as agreed by the GDC steering committee. And now, given the number of individuals who are leaving the company looking for jobs in Miami, we have recommended the acceleration to September. If that's the case, and if it's approved by the steering committee, because the problem, Camille, is the readiness of the GDC. We can say this is necessary, but it's the readiness that they have the ability to hire, train people in order for the operation to be handled by the team in Madrid.
Yeah.
So my question is, how about the you're talking about only customer service or including the agency management?
No, also agency management.
So that means this first communication sending out is if I'm looking at the timeline, just pure looking at the table now, the first communication will be made by the Miami team, right? On the
Yes.
15th. Okay, so I will spell out everything to avoid the misunderstanding. And then the item C, we still CIFA and IATA project team. And holding the webinar, item D is no problem, it's CIFA and IATA local office. So the
Correct.
item E, the webinar is the IATA office, so that's fine.
Yes.
Then item F, send the second communication on the 18th. That will be question subject to the confirmation from the GDC steering group in order to confirm that will be managed by the Madrid team or
That is correct.
or
Yes. We need the confirmation from the steering committee. I'm sure we will get that in the next 2 or 3 weeks when they next meet. At the end of the day, it's about the readiness of the Madrid office.
Yeah.
If they are not able to be ready, I don't think it's an issue because it's only a communication. The problem with that communication is that we will have to give instructions to agents where to return their agreements.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So I don't see any problem between the next 2 or 3 weeks that the steering committee will meet and will define with the input by the Madrid office as to their believed readiness by that date. And then that will drive what that communication says. It would really be, I guess, confusing to agents if they initially are told to send them here and then they're supposed to send them there. I think in the worst case scenario, we don't have clarity. Agents can send them to Miami. We can collect them once a week and ship them to Madrid. So we need to look at the alternatives in case we don't have all of the assurances by the steering committee or by the team in Madrid that they may not yet be ready for a September 15th, but more ready for an October deployment or handover. And in the meantime, the market doesn't have to be disturbed. They send them to Miami. We can collect, we can update that we on Salesforce that we have received the agreement. But we can collect them and once a week we ship them to Madrid because ultimately these agreements need to be in Madrid.
Okay. You know what I can do? Maybe I can do the checkpoint like the first week September, we organize the call and to confirm if what is the decision of the steering committee and also with the what is the decision on that where they sending those 5 water agreement. Would that be okay with Diana and also Francisco and Olina and Sergey and Nacho? Because I think the key area now I see is from F, activity from F until the I and J. Is the second communication is really based on the decision of the steering committee where they want to have that fit to the GDC structures?
I don't think will be a big problem from our side. From customer service, I think we can cope with it.
Yeah.
But I think, anyhow, I will be meeting with Enrique Girondo tomorrow on other issues, and I'll pop up the questions as well because, as mentioned, I'm not aware of taking over the operation from Canada before October. Now, I believe what our colleague just mentioned, that 50 September is probably the date that it's going to be agreed on GDC. But having in mind the size of the operation itself, may be worthwhile to think and this is only a thought I need to check and discuss with Enrique as well. What I would propose is to have everything started from Madrid already from the 15th of August. And this means that we need to be ready by that time as well. But I'll get back to you. Your original plans are okay with me. I don't have any problems with it.
Okay. So what I'm going to do, if I will today after maybe because we're running out a little bit time, but I will change what the comment you guys have and adding more information in this project plan with what we discussed, and then exactly for the time being I'm putting 15 August 15 with Miami team because that's what I confirm until I hear from Francisco and what is being changed. And maybe I also would like what I would like to do is I just want to go to the program, the document itself, just share with you a little bit what we have already uploaded in this website. So for those who want to looking at that a little bit, like for example the communication letter Francisco talking about, this is the first communication letter we already draft here, and as I say, I will have the final version. So what we have is first communication letter sending to airlines. Here is with all the background and also the date, and we will insert the video. We are producing the recording video now, and I will get I'm waiting for Canada team telling us what's the link for registration because it will be managed by Canada team for how many of them register which day, and then we'll send a separate communication to them for the webinar dial-in information for the FAQ sessions, for Q&A sessions. So that is the first communication letter for the airlines, and also you will see the first communication letter to the cargo agents as well. And then also same thing with we will insert the link for the video, and then also for the registration for the Q&A webinar for the date we have here. And apart from that, is also have the.
Excuse me, Camille, just very briefly on these communications. I've during the previous discussion, I was just going through them, specifically for cargo agents, both, so the first and the second one. I've been reading it and I find it relatively, it's quite complicated for the customers to understand. So if we could at a different point have some time, I would like to give some suggestions. Because I believe, I mean, I don't want to comment at all anything, but it's just that a lot of these agents, they might just want to see the today, the tomorrow, what's going to change, what's my benefit, what's going to cost it. It's not going to cost anything. Okay, cool. Related to that, there are also in the second communication, some minor issues. For instance, there is a reference to an @IATA.org email address. So we have to make sure that we are all clear that. So questions have to, for instance, there in the first paragraph, you see you can contact us at 4x@IATA.org.
You provide a comment because it's this one, when we draft it, as actually will be passing back to the service center. When they're sending out, they need to editing what need to be added. So
right, yeah, exactly. I just think it's very important. And secondly, just a question very shortly on this: will this be translated into French?
No, we are not going to translate this letter in French, and only in English. Yeah.
And then second follow-up question, during the rest of the global rollout, are you considering translating these type of communications? Because this is quite complicated for some markets.
Yeah, I think we will review that because it's the cost issue. We are not going to translate only the freight forward agreement we believe is important for translate to their language. But the communication, we are trying to remain with the English. But we will, for some market, when we go doing the further planning for some market, because we have a similar discussion with Amber, so we say we will discuss with the regional team to see each market what is exactly need in order to put in the standard when the translation. Because what the governance board believe from the real, the freight forwarder, they don't, most of them, they speak English, they know English well, unlike the travel agents. So they don't see the need to spend the money to do all the translations.
Right. I'm just mentioning it because of course the money that has been saved on the one hand by not translating is incurred on the customer service side because they have to explain the letter. So I think we need to really reassess a little bit whether
if you have good cases to make it to me, and I definitely will go ahead and with that, and then we will proceed, and we can have a separate discussion with that. Yeah. And I want mid-August when come back for the rest of the world for Canada, but CFSA is no need to translate in English, in French. Clearly, CFSA is for them the market, and also we did the analysis in Quebec. We don't have too many current cargo agents, so it's not the big issue when we spend a couple hundreds for the translation of the letter, only entertain few agents. So we are not going to do that.
Of course, but my main concern is my main concern is the rest of the world, of course.
No, and that one we will discuss. For the time being, for Canada market, we don't do the translation, only the freight forwarder agreement, because a legal document we do the translation. But the rest of the communication is remain with French, which is agree with CIFA.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the rest of the regions or the countries around the world, I do agree that we stop and think a little bit by the communications, as has been said, they are complex. It's a complete change, and the agent needs to be well aware, especially when he's being asked to sign a new agreement. So I think the communication merits, and Americas will help whenever, because the rest of Latin America follows Canada. And basically, it's not too bad. We only have 2 other languages in the region. That would be Spanish for the majority of the countries, and then Portuguese for Brazil, where we do have about 1,000 agents.
Yeah, exactly. And a bit in that point, I don't see it as a waste of money to already translate this one for the few agents in Canada, because we will have to reuse it anyhow in France.
And we will do if we have
and
to
Africa, not to mention
communication, of course. And the communication itself is a 1.5-page document, very simple to translate. So we'll be more than happy to facilitate translation to Spanish. Of course, it will have the quote-unquote Latin Spanish flavor, as opposed to more Castilian compared to the operations in Spain. But clearly we will help, and we will help also with the Portuguese for Brazil, which is slightly different from Portugal.
Okay, I make the look. I will see how quick I can get the final versions from FIATA. If I have enough time to get the translation from the firm, then I can do that communication letter. But otherwise, I'm not worried too much about Canada market. But the rest of the market, I agree. The Spanish, Portuguese, and we can discuss to do the translation. For the rest of the world, we have a time to do the preparations.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, just this is also the presentation here. You will see I will upload these 2 presentations is for external, and then I also will upload the what we have, all the presentation, the training workshop we have just share here. I will upload the all the document here in this area. So I will send you the recap of what we did today, and also the recording. And I will upload the recording to the website, and also will give them the link with accessing all the document you need to, and also to that now you know we have information in the intranet site. In terms of just give you the going back to the presentation, the last 2 slides for the Salesforce case. Okay, for the Salesforce case, just give you the, if you can see the slide I putting on, this is how we can do the mass upload. The cases we create in SAM, and then for the new freight forwarder agreement for each freight forwarder, and the case will so open until the agency management receive the freight forwarder agreement and close the case in the system. That will be the dashboard for you to do the monitoring, so you don't need to go to accounting individually. So that is the plan for the tracking in the Salesforce for the Canada. And for the rest of the world, we try to use the e-signatures, and that is what we're exploring with Eugene, to looking at the e-signatures capability to receive the document, especially for Europe market, for those big market, to do the electronic signature instead of doing the hard copy side and return to the service center and the GDC in the futures. So that is the presentation I have. And any further question before I close the call? And maybe for Diana, if you agree, maybe we can. I will organize another call just around mid-August, and after the first communications, and if we don't hear anything from Francisco about taking over from the 15th August, then we will discuss how we do the based on the decision of the steering committees and all the about the second communication letter sending out all the preparation with Madrid and with Madrid team. Will that be really to have a call to do a checkpoint just as in case this is
Yeah, I fully agree. We need to, and we need to get you involved in the decisions that will be reached in the next few days, so that we can do that coordination. And it's not only for the customer service team in Madrid, but also from the accreditation point of view as to where those agreements should be going and what should that communication of August 15th indicate. I also agree with Nacho. He alluded earlier at what point in time are we going to offer agents who are not executing the new agreement the fact that they need to sign the CAS Associate Agreement to continue to participate, and it's a smooth transition for them. One, and then two, do we send at a later stage a communication to the CAS Associate community, which is like 500 agents in Canada, if they want to join the new IFACP program? So those two things, we'll park them. And once we have more clarity on the GDC steering group as to the cutoff date for Canada, then we can, I guess, touch base again in the next 2 or 3 weeks as soon as we have that. And then all of us coordinate the way forward.
But then the first communication letter, I just want to ensure that this is a Miami team will do that on the 15th August. And unless it's Francisco come back to us, it will take over by the customer service team in Madrid in next few days. But otherwise, I assume will be 15 August will be managed by the Miami team for the time being.
We don't have any issue with that whatsoever. Basically, that communication, it's going to make the community aware of webinars where we will explain the program. So it's really transparent. It's just it's not going to raise many questions or anything. It's simply, be aware we will offer this webinars during these times and the days to come. Please sign up. And there's no other commitment. It's more the September communication where we need to have the clarity as to whose role will it be.
And also for the first communications that's sending out, if the customer service remains still at the time with Miami team, then we would just want to make sure the queue with anything will be remain in the customer portal, remain with this infrastructures, right, with the Miami team until the migration to the Madrid team is happen.
Yes, absolutely. Correct.
And I just want to make sure this customer service team in Madrid, in Miami team is also, they are well aware with the whole program implementation, or if I need to have additional communication with them or further training.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to share with them the PowerPoint that you have shared with all of us that has the most updated dates. Because indeed, as we launch that communication on the 15th of August, should anyone lose the email, I need to know the link to join, I forgot which seminar, will I be going, can I change the seminar from this to the other date? And those types of initial queries that we may receive, just a handful here and there, they need to be aware. So clearly, yes, I will be sharing that information with them. And if there's anything in particular that remains outstanding, they may have a question that I'm not able to respond, then we can simply raise an email to you and just coordinate. I don't see any major issues.
That definitely fine with me. And then now I just need to coordinate with Nicholas is about the registration link from Doodle or whatever system they are using. So I just need waiting for them to say to me, then we can include in the communication letter.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you so much, everyone. So we are over the time, but in case if you have any question, feel free to send me the any email or call me, and I will send out all the material by email today, and then just any parking item, and we'll coordinate at the call and around mid-August, and then just for the checkpoint for the next steps.
Thank you, Camille, for everything.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Nice to hear everybody in Madrid and
Bye.
Miami again. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.